Hello. Thanks for joining us again on the channel. I've always been curious about this one, and now that a friend picked one up, we can finally talk about it. His experience, start to finish. Quick note before we begin. There's a discount link in the description and the top comment if you want to check it out. Now let's not waste any more time and jump right into the details.
Starting things off, our first reviewer gives us their perspective.
This reviewer found this mouse to be immediately comfortable, with a design that fits well in the hand. A particularly fantastic feature for our client was the inclusion of a dedicated horizontal scroll wheel. They noted how much easier, faster, and more comfortable this was for navigating wide documents or timelines compared to the common method of tilting the vertical scroll wheel left and right. The wireless performance was also a clear highlight. The Bluetooth connection proved to be solid and reliable, which was a welcome fix for issues our reviewer had experienced with older devices from the company that would frustratingly disconnect and require repairing. Movement and tracking were consistently precise, and the mouse performed flawlessly on every surface it was tried on, adding to its dependable feel. When it comes to power, the battery life seems great. This client confessed they never actually ran it down to zero, but they loved that it was rechargeable, saving them from the hassle of replacing batteries. They even streamlined the process by using a magnetic USB charger, allowing them to easily top it up whenever it wasn't in use. Despite these positives, there were a couple of drawbacks. The biggest issue for our reviewer, who uses this device primarily for travel, was the noise. The mouse clicks are quite loud, potentially loud enough to wake a sleeping spouse in a quiet room. While it might not be much louder than many standard mice, it's definitely not a quiet or silent option. The other minor complaint was about its value. For its price, our client felt it was a bit expensive for the feature set. They suggested that at that cost, they would have expected a few extra programmable buttons. It wasn't considered hugely overpriced, but it felt like it would be a much better buy at a more modest price point.
Let's begin by examining the insights provided by our first reviewer.
This reviewer mentions having gone through several units of a previous favorite mouse over the years. While our reviewer loved that particular model, its tendency to eventually fail led them to search for a new option when their last one gave out, especially since they were looking for something more budget-friendly. They happened to run across this particular mouse and have found it to be a darn good replacement. It's praised for having a nearly identical size and fit in the hand, making the transition feel seamless and comfortable from the start. The only notable difference is the absence of a few extra thumb buttons, but this client notes they had stopped using those buttons anyway, so it wasn't a loss for their personal workflow. Overall, it's considered a great little wireless device. The one point of uncertainty for them is the built-in rechargeable battery. Only time will tell how well it holds up and maintains its ability to hold a charge after long-term use. However, the primary source of frustration for this user is the design of its charging port. The port is recessed too far into the body of the mouse instead of being flush with the front. This specific design choice has a practical downside. It prevents the use of a convenient magnetic charging connector, as the plug simply can't seat itself deep enough to make a proper connection. Furthermore, this client wishes the port was a more modern USB-C type. As it is, they experience the familiar annoyance of having to flip the plug over multiple times before it finally slots in correctly, a small but recurring inconvenience.
Excellent. Let's find out what our next reviewer has to share about their experience.
This reviewer wanted to share some thoughts after getting this mouse for their wife. Having used a high-end mouse for a while, the goal was to find something similar for Photoshop work, but at a more accessible price point. Now overall, this device isn't terrible. It functions as a wireless mouse and offers an ergonomic design. It even includes a side scroll bar, which is a definite plus. However, when compared to the model it seems to be emulating, the differences become quite apparent. The scroll wheel and buttons feel noticeably cheaper and lack that premium, substantial weight and feel that one might expect. Furthermore, this client quickly realized the limitations in customization. While it does offer some programmable buttons, it simply doesn't provide the same level of control and flexibility as its competitor, which boasts significantly more options. This means if you're hoping to assign complex actions to buttons, like opening specific folders or initiating emails, this mouse might leave you wanting more. If you are someone that needs to have options to do creative work that needs quick access to specific functions, the money invested in a high-end mouse will be worth it.
That's all for today. If you like this, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments.